like to call the board meeting. This time we'll have, well, before we do that, there is on A2, there's a notice of change for the date of the June regular board meeting. Would someone make a motion that we approve that, please?
Make a motion we approve the change to the regular scheduled June board meeting.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. At this time, we'll have Pastor James Archer. Pastor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let's pray. God our Father, we come thanking you for this day. As we come, we acknowledge your presence, your person and power in all that we do. We know that you rule, you reign, and you have worldwide regency. So we come today, God, we come looking unto you because we know that all of our help, all of our strength come from above. Lord God, we ask that you be present with us throughout this meeting today. We want to thank you, Lord God, for all of the success of our past school year. And Lord God, you already know the endeavors that the school board has before them as they prepare and plan for the school year ahead. We thank you, Lord God, for the new entity, AOI. We thank you for the reconstructions of our junior highs and high schools that's taking place even now. Lord God, we just ask that you'll continue to be the lamp of our feet, the light of our path, that you will grant us the wisdom and knowledge we need to continue to achieve all of our future endeavors. We ask it all in the name of Christ, and all under the sound of my voice said amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Is there a motion to adopt the
Motion to
agenda?
adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. Mr. Secretary.
Yes, sir. Board members, you have before you the minutes for the regular scheduled board meeting on May 25th. The special call board meeting on May the 28th, 2021. Are there any additions or deletions to the minutes as presented? Seeing as none, I make a motion we accept the May 25th and the May 28th, 2021 meeting minutes.
I second the motion.
You've heard the motion. It's been seconded. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. This time, Mr. Deputy Superintendent.
Yes, sir. Superintendent's report today, I have a few things that I want to talk about. At the beginning of the month, we had our first in-person training with our principals and our department heads that we've had this year. It was held at the Army Corps District Office on Clay, Franklin Covey Training, Equity and Education, and it was led by Ms. Christy Kilroy and Dr. Connie West. And it was a great time, and it was great to get back together and feel kind of normal, but it was definitely great training. Mr. Shealy was able to speak to the Rotary Club last Thursday. I was at another event, so I didn't get to hear that, but I can tell you I've never known him to be a loss for words. So I'm sure he did a great job. I was at the Making Connection conference when he was speaking, and I got to sit in on Ebony Gardner's presentation. She presented to the entire state about, there were at least 100, 150 participants in her breakout session, and it was secondary teachers, and she was talking about how to make the instruction more innovative at the secondary level. Did a great job, had those secondary teachers moving in and out their seats, playing with Dixie cups and all kinds of things. So it was great to see our practices in action throughout the entire state. And other than probably one of the best things, and that is to be able to talk about our students, that will be the last part of the superintendent's report, and we're going to have Preston Naylor come talk about that.
Good evening. Good evening. Due to COVID, there were a lot of restrictions this year as it related to things that we could do in and outside the classroom, in and outside of our school building. But thank you to the school board and to our superintendent and leadership of the district for allowing us to carry on as we knew how, or moving and treading down through difficult waters. But I wanted to take this time because we were not able to meet early on with to recognize some of our athletic accomplishments with our teams. And I wanted to make sure that I made this public today, that we did some great things this year across the district as it related to competition within the state. And I'm going to announce some of these. None of our kids are here because they're out. Sports now is year-round. They are participating in games right now, but I did not want another month to go by and us not recognize these coaches and these athletes for the accomplishments that they've done this year. So I'll read them off and make sure we give them recognition. For VHS, we've had girls basketball this year. They were district champs. They did lose in the second round to Neshoba, but again, they won district 2 years in a row. Girls soccer also won district. Our 9th grade boys basketball team were the Little Six champs this year. There's a great group of kids that have moved up. They're 10-2 right now for the summer. They're competing in Missouri right now, so we're very excited for them. Warren Central High School boys track, Josh Griffin won state in the 110 hurdles. Boys powerlifting, we have one powerlifter to finish 3rd in his weight class in the state of Mississippi, which is a great accomplishment. VHS again, girls track, they were regional and North State champions. Softball at Vicksburg High, district champs, lost in the second round playoffs to New Hope. Boys powerlifting at Vicksburg High School are the 5A state champions.
All right.
Cross country at Warren Central, they sent 3 runners. You have a lot of restrictions with cross country this year. Normally you have 200 kids that are running at one time, but they only had a certain amount of kids running. We sent 3 runners from Warren Central to represent Warren County. But outside of that, those championships, and I am very happy for that, and we do have a secondary principal here. We've had over 35 kids to sign scholarships to go compete at the next level next year. And that's all the way from cheer and dance up to football. So we're very excited for that. But then on an academic level, we had 22 of our 32 teams. They were recognized by Mississippi High School Activity Association as scholar athlete teams. What this means is a varsity athletic team with a grade point average of 3.0 or higher composite will be considered a scholar athlete team. And 22 of our teams, 10 at Vicksburg and 12 at Warren Central, received this accomplishment. Our kids are doing a great job in and outside the classroom, and I don't think a lot of people understand how important athletics and activities are to the production and the well-being of our children. And for our children to be without school this year and to be at home and to still have an activity or a sport to participate in and still keep their grades up as well as compete and represent us is a high standard. And I just want to thank them. I want to thank our coaches, our administrators, and again, our leadership from the central office to our school board members on down for a job well done. So if we could please give all these young people a round of applause. And I hope next year that we can get everybody in here as we move forward. We are not under any restrictions as of now, and things hopefully will resume back to normal as they were in previous years. So thank you again.
Mr. AD, oh, go ahead, sir.
Mr. AD, and to the principals at our high school, I congratulate you all on a job well done. It is so hard to get the kids homed in on a situation like we had this year. I'm proud of the leadership, and it all starts with leadership. And again, I salute you and Mr. Green and the other principals that are not here. Thank you.
And I just wanted to tell you, I was going to say basically the same thing, that Vicksburg girls softball team was they actually won the game. There was a home run that was disputed, which they would have gone into the
Third round.
third round.
Yeah.
But there was a disputed home run, they had to play again, everybody knows the story, so, but anyway, they did a wonderful job, and we appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you.
That's the end of the superintendent's report.
Wow, we need you up here all the time. Don't tell him I said that, right? All right. Okay, at this time, Mr. Bailey.
Mr. Pickle's gonna join me as well.
Okay.
Now we're being double teamed.
No, it's to pick me up when you knock me down. Good evening, folks. It's good to see y'all again.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you the overview of the report, and then we've got action items. Mark will go through the action items. A couple of the items during the report will be significant, and I'll talk about each one of them. Vicksburg High School, if you've been through, are continuing to make major progress. Clearly a very highly qualified contractor taking care of that project. We fully anticipate that project being ready to occupy a school here in the month of July. They've still got things to do, of course, but they're working diligently to do them. And they will be on schedule, and we'll be able to move in and take care of that building. As y'all aware, there was damage at the band hall from some flooding. The contractor has ordered the flooring, and we'll replace it the minute it comes in, and is taking care of that. There's still some ongoing talks on some other items, but nothing that requires any action at this point. The athletics phase 2 is substantially complete and working on punch list items. Warren Central High School, as you know, we've had significant soils issues there regarding the Agora area and the east end of the Agora. The contractor is working diligently to get what he can done ready for school, and that's basically the whole front building. Building A, Building B, and get everything that is occupiable complete. And they're working hard on that. They're going to be a little tighter than Vicksburg High School, but they know what they've got to do, and Mark is working diligently with them. We've got a couple of items on the action report tonight that need to be taken care of, and Mark will go over those in a minute. I want to make a comment about the soils issue and tell you that this has been a pain on everyone, and if there were not underground problems, there wouldn't be a problem, but there are. And one of the things y'all know about me is I'm not going to sit here and focus on the problem. I'm going to focus on the solution. And you know, there were latent conditions that got found. We immediately sought professional advice from soils engineers, number one, soils engineers number two, and make sure that we were doing the prudent things. We've got one recommendation tonight that is even more prudent to provide an extra degree of safety in our recommendations, not necessary, but suggested. I just want to tell you that we're doing everything we can to get that resolved. We all know it's holding up the project, and right now that project's scheduled to be complete in the spring of '22. It's been a pain on everyone, but we're doing everything that we can diligently to do that. And I'll tell you, you've got the right man behind me trying to make sure that happens, working with and, when necessary, against the contractor, but to take care of you. That's our responsibility. Academy of Innovation, as you know, we've had ongoing couple of issues, primarily regarding the concrete floor finish. I'll talk specifically about it a good bit. The other issue regarding the canopy and the lighting at the canopy, as y'all are probably aware, we're paying for that to be corrected. We've got sample lights ordered to make sure everybody's happy with the light that's going up. The conduit's been rerouted in most of the areas. It'll be painted and it'll be ready for kids to start, whether the lights are finished or not. It won't stop us from occupying the building, and that's all coming out of my pocket. The floor has been our biggest challenge, and you're probably aware we have never accepted that concrete floor since day one. The contractor has fought us and pushed back on it and thought that they did what they could do. We strongly disagree with their opinion, and it's time to take action. There are several problems with the floor. Structurally, it is not a problem. The floor is flat. It's met the flatness requirements. It's met most of the requirements of what a concrete slab is supposed to do. Its finish is not acceptable. And there's numerous areas that are of concern. One may or may not be the contractor's fault. There's a lot of scratches in that building, some of which may have occurred from the furniture contractor. We can't prove that. Many of them were done by the general contractor. When they were finishing and trying to do some repair work, they've scratched the floor, and we think that that's their responsibility. The biggest problem is inconsistent coloration. And if you've ever poured concrete, you know that you trowel concrete to get a smooth finish. And it's either done by a machine or it's done by hand. Well, in our opinion, and it's somewhat preliminary, but I feel pretty strongly about it, is that they did not finish that concrete slab properly. They allowed water to come to the top of the concrete, and that's what's causing the white discoloration in numerous areas throughout the slab. And then they put the sealer down on top of it. So they sealed in discoloration. They had several construction stains that they sealed in, some of which they've gotten out. They've been able to buff out many of them. But we've got a discolored slab, and to us that is an unacceptable situation. So again, what do we do about an unacceptable situation? Here are the options that are on the table for discussion, and we have a recommendation, but it's really for discussion. You can accept that slab and accepting defective work for a cost. And the contract allows you to take a credit for accepting defective work. It's roughly in about $130,000 value. If you take the concrete as is and take a credit of $130,000, you move on and use the building for its intended purpose, and most of the areas no one will ever know or care, but it's still not acceptable. So that is one option. The other options are in a stair-stepped way. You could require them to provide another floor surface over that concrete. In our opinion, it needs, if you do that, it needs to be a floor finish that does not require high maintenance. That is very low maintenance and as permanent as you can get. Concrete's a more permanent material. It requires mopping and a little bit of buffing. Luxury vinyl tile would be the only product that would meet that requirement in our opinion. It does not require waxing, can be damp mopped, and it's more expensive than regular vinyl tile. But that's where we came up with our valuation of the credit back to you if you chose to accept it as is and take the credit. We can make them put down luxury vinyl tile throughout the whole building. We could choose to put down luxury vinyl tile in the public areas of the building, the entryway, the main commons and lobby, etc., and accept the classroom areas with a credit. There's degrees of doing that. The goal is to get a low maintenance floor that meets the needs of educated kids and the district not have to pay for defective work. So that's where we stand. The contractor will not agree to that. We feel certain. They will have to agree. We've got their money. And if they do not accept whatever recommendations the board agrees to, then we're going to get it done one way or the other. We're going to start school in August. And that's our recommendation to you, that we figure out a way to make that happen. The other stuff is being taken care of. They're all relatively minor punch list items. There's been major work done on the rails. I've talked to you about the canopy issue. They've got some storm drainage still to work on, but all of those things are negligible compared to the concrete floor.
Gary, on the luxury vinyl tiles that you spoke of.
Yes, sir.
And if I heard you correctly, you said the whole building, part of the building, except the classrooms. So the classrooms are concrete, but are they acceptable concrete?
No.
Okay.
It's still not, doesn't meet these specs.
So what's it cost to put that luxury vinyl in the entire building? Is that $150,000?
130 to 140.
So would be the
But it would be their cost if you do that.
Would you recommend the whole building? Because I know you don't recommend the first one you've given us, except as is.
No,
You don't recommend the accept as is?
I could go either way. I actually think that in 3 years, no one's gonna notice the difference. Kids are gonna be all over that floor and furniture's gonna be moved and et cetera, et cetera. My best recommendation is to have the public areas with the luxury vinyl tile on it and leave the classrooms as they are. They've got a ton of furniture on them, and that furniture is gonna be moved day in and day out. That's part of the
That's part of
plan.
the design of the building.
It is. So
We're not moving the furniture, the sliding doors or sliding walls, that's not gonna be impacted by having
Well, it could, because of the way the track works on
Right.
the sliding glass doors, is that we might have to raise the threshold to get the luxury vinyl tile under it. That's one of the reasons I would take the concrete as is in that area,
In the classroom.
in classroom areas only.
So if you do the common areas, that's not gonna affect the sliding?
No, sir, will not have any impact. And that's where the
Do we have
public,
a sample of that so we can see it?
oh yeah, I can get you a sample. I can tell you, it's a premium product. We have had a similar problem one time on another school, and it was a polished concrete, not sealed concrete, and they had major cracking. It wasn't necessarily with discoloration. And they put down luxury vinyl tile throughout the whole building. It's really,
So they can't, you can't take a diamond polisher and polish it out or buff it out?
well, technically you could, but you're gonna end up with a discoloration still. I think the solution's worse than the problem.
So, and Gary, who pays for the luxury vinyl?
Contractor.
Okay.
If they fail to do that, then we're gonna ask permission to get it done on your behalf, take it out of their pay.
How much money are you?
So we're holding their cash?
We got $500,000 right now.
Okay.
We've still gotta deal with some liquidated damage issues. That's money that's coming back to you. So we've got issues to deal with there, but we've gotta have an action plan that gets you in school. I think it's the worst thing that could happen is that we don't open that building in August.
Do we have another building already, any of the new buildings that have this luxury vinyl tile in it, or is this something we don't have?
I don't think we do. We've got regular vinyl tile in the other schools. And that requires waxing. That's the only negative of regular vinyl tile. And, you know, it looks fine.
Is it still 1x1s or?
Oh, you get them in 1x2s. You can get 1x3s. Actually, you can get different sizes. And obviously, you prefer a luxury vinyl tile that has a little discoloration in it so that it looks random, if you will.
Yeah.
But they come in great colors, and that's why they call it luxury. It's nicer than vinyl tile.
And so what you're saying is this would be a maintenance-free tile?
Maintenance, low maintenance, probably similar to what the sealed concrete is. Sealed concrete has to be resealed every 7 or 8 years.
What's in there needs to be resealed right now.
Well, I know, but,
It's scratched so bad and we haven't hardly moved on it.
well, and the problem is that resealing, it's not gonna fix the scratches.
Correct.
Can it be,
So I'm afraid we're gonna be dealing with that every summer, is the point I'm trying to
can the luxury tile, if someone nicks it or scratches it, can it
Just pop a towel up.
pop tile, just like you do?
Yeah, just like
regular
vinyl tile.
and it can be
It's just, it doesn't have wax on it, so it's much easier to deal with, and we'd order some extra so that we've got some if some gets damaged. It requires, dust mopping and damp mopping. As any floor, dirt's your biggest problem. That's where scratches and things occurs from
So is
dirt.
it gonna look bad going from the common areas being one floor surface and?
Not if you get a good
What
gray,
threshold- What do we have
blend.
in the doorways? Is there a threshold in the, between the classroom?
You
and
would
the
have a
common-
thin threshold. The tile's very thin, it's 1/8 of an inch.
But there's not a threshold now.
No, there's concrete to concrete. But you would have a small threshold at the doorways going into the classroom areas if you take my recommendation. But I would look at a color that's not unlike concrete. I mean, a medium blended gray.
So it blends with the classroom?
Yes,
For our thresholds all throughout where we have sliding.
where you have the sliders, yes, sir. And you, at the exterior doors, of course, you have thresholds.
And I just wanna make sure I understand one other thing. What has already been sealed or polished, or whichever one you said, in the classrooms,
Yes, sir.
there's no sense in going back and trying to re-sand those once we put this or before we put the luxury vinyl.
Well, in
down.
classrooms, we would only be spot repairing some of the problems. We would not be doing any vinyl tile in there
Right.
unless you choose to do that. I mean, we can tell them to put luxury vinyl tile everywhere.
No, I'm just saying, in the classroom where it's concrete,
Right,
you wouldn't have to go back and sand it or polish it or do whatever.
it's not gonna do any good.
Okay.
And they have tried, I'm beating them up pretty hard, but they've made a good faith effort. It's just, they screwed up, finished the slab. And some things you can't fix, you have to cover.
Define common areas.
It would be the main entryway, the public space in the middle of the building,
Stairwell?
the stairwells all the way down the hallway, and the cafeteria, I think needs to have the luxury vinyl tile on it as well.
So Gary, it's the 16th of June.
Yes, sir.
Is all this arm wrestling gonna be able to happen between now and our proposed opening?
It's an excellent question that I can't guarantee. I can tell you, if I get your authority to proceed, we're gonna make that effort. If they refuse to do it, we're gonna try to get it done, independently. But I can't sit here and promise you that it's gonna be put in. It may have to be put in after school starts.
What if we chose to go the route of least resistance and keep the, concrete, take it as a, you know, not a good
Correct.
product, what was the word you used?
Defective work,
Defective product, and take the $180,000 credit.
130.
And 130. And next year, when we have time, we could put the flooring down.
That's an interesting thought.
And then we still start school on time, and we're
You don't
not
have to.
under the gun trying to get it done, and we've got the time to get it done
Well, we
later.
can also see how.
Is
it
that
works.
not an option?
Once you put stuff
It is an
down.
option.
Well, you'd also see what kind of wear and tear is gonna
Right,
be on
and
that
then-
concrete
yeah.
in a year.
Ms. Bullard, I think that's a valid,
I mean, and then then we can we're in the building, and we're done.
yeah.
And the kids are in the building, the principals can get in the building, and we accept it as it is, we take the credit,
It
and next
reduces the
year,
stress, but keeps
if-
the option to,
next year, if
I like that
it
idea.
looks like crap, we
Fix it.
Mr.
take the
Attorney,
vinyl down. Is that an option, Briggs, or is this not?
Yes, that's an option, and I think what you would want to do is make sure that we got those funds, Gary, placed into an escrow account for the district to be utilized next year. And in addition, there is the possibility, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and there is the possibility that, cost of all construction materials, as I understand it, is very
It's
high right now.
ridiculous.
Maybe that we could get more bang for the buck next year, if we did that. And the only other question I had, Gary, is it the luxury vinyl tile, will it be architecturally and aesthetically sound with the overall project so that the district is left with a product that's going to look, may not be exactly what was planned, but it's going to look good.
very
at
much
the end
so.
of the day.
I've always shot straight with y'all. I don't blink at that. If I was doing it over today, I would be putting it in there. It's an excellent product. It has high visibility and good aesthetics, and it's as durable as a artificial surface can be.
Well, I make a motion that we take the money and run and wait and see what we get next year.
we put it in the escrow account.
Yeah, we put it in escrow.
Let's not take the money and ruin it.
But I mean, yeah, no, I just think that makes the most sense for right now,
If you
and then
choose
we're
to-
in the building.
If you choose to do that, I would request that we discuss a minimum of $130,000 and let us see if we can get more, and do a little more.
So not have it not a dollar amount.
Give your superintendent the authority to negotiate that amount up.
Are you good with
From-
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yes, sir.
One question on that. By doing it that way, what would be the target date of the school being ready for the kids?
2 weeks.
That's what we do.
Can I ask a question unrelated to that? Are they, in the construction budget, is there any grounds work? Is it level? I mean, if you look at it now, it looks like a wild.
It's gotta have successful grass, and that's one of the items on their punch list. They've got major grassing work still to do. There's no landscaping. It's
No,
all
but
grass.
they're at least gonna level it and maybe sod something, because
Well, they've got areas that they have to sod and areas that they have to seed. But if they don't get successful seeding done, then we'll make them put sod down.
okay, because they don't.
We will have successful grass.
Your siding is probably what you're gonna have to get. Mr. Attorney, do you have anything else?
I'm gonna make a motion.
The only other point is, as it relates to the minimum amount, I don't disagree with Gary at all that 130 ought to be the minimum. I think we ought to have a good floor evaluation right now to make sure, because it could end up being 150, 160, and I'm just throwing out a number. But I want to make sure that we've got sufficient funds in there to cover what it's going to cost to repair this problem. So
That's why I'm asking for that flexibility. I agree with you, Briggs.
take a stab at it.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion that we accept the defective flooring and the funds, a minimum of $130,000 goes
Correct.
into an escrow account for the district to be able to use to reconstruct next year.
But we authorize the
But
superintendent
we authorize the superintendent to do blah, 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 blah.
to negotiate.
There's a blah, blah, blah.
Did you get that? Did you get that, Secretary?
Francis is laughing.
Hold on, Mr. Attorney, what you have?
Just to
The
tighten
blah,
up
blah,
that
blah.
motion at the end to say that if you authorize the superintendent to proceed with obtaining an evaluation of the floors to determine if there are amounts above the 130 that should be retained as a credit and a payment back to the escrow account.
We'll have that tomorrow.
That's the
Do you have that, Dale?
What he said.
That was the blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay. been moved and properly second. Are there any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Next are the Vicksburg Junior High and Warren Central Junior High. Those projects are going well. You know, everything won't be done when school starts, but if you've been by there, the entries are looking good. They've still got a good bit of work to do, but we have no concerns there at all. Bomar is gonna be ready. I just left there this afternoon. If you haven't been in the classroom wing, please go. The colored panels on the glass is in. And as I'm fixing to post on Facebook in a few minutes, no other school in Mississippi has a Mondrian painting on their wall. And you will have a Mondrian painting in your class. They've taken the seats out of the auditorium to redo the floor, which we made them do, and that'll all be done in time. I met with the principal, and the ramp got put in, the gymnasium, and
What about the repair of the hallways with those cracks?
we've gotten proposals, and it was astronomical. We're not ready to recommend it yet. It needs a little more thorough talk with the administration, but I wasn't comfortable with that number. They were gigging us, in my opinion.
Speaking of a auditorium floor, just spurred my memory with Vicksburg.
Uh-oh.
Have we done anything?
No, sir, not more than what you have right now.
Okay.
Okay, Beechwood is in the hands of your capable attorney. I will not try to speak on his behalf, and we've chatted and given advice where necessary. Redwood is ready for a final closeout inspection, as is Warrenton. So the other jobs have gone very well, and I would add, almost like I said virtually day one, that this is gonna be torture. In some places it has been torture. At Warren Central, it still is torture. But our job's to get it taken care of, and that's what we're doing. I wanna brag on your administration, your maintenance director, tech folks, principals. They've all been wonderful. And I was able to tour through with another district going through Vicksburg High School, and they said, "You mean you've done all of this with kids here?" And all it takes is communication and cooperation. And yeah, nobody's been hurt. We've maintained safety and gotten work done. We got several action items that Mark's gonna go through and describe to
Mr.
you.
Beatty,
Yes,
Mr. Beatty, right before you leave.
I'm not going.
Okay. You mentioned Vicksburg High with the band floor.
Yes, sir.
I may have been asleep. Did you speak on the instruments that were damaged and the band fee?
That's one of the things we're still working out with insurance.
Thank
But
you.
we haven't forgotten, believe me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I have a few action items to discuss, and I apologize, it looks like the paper you have in front of you is a little bit different than some of the items that I want to talk about, but for the most part, it's correct. So first, Vicksburg High School, that is one of the items that's incorrect. Item number 1 should be gym roof drain repair and replacement. It's a drain that's been leaking some pipe. Bill had asked us if we could get a price from the contractor to do that. They did. And as you know, that gym floor is going in now. And so we would recommend or seek the board's approval to do a roof drain repair replacement for $4,087.
How much?
$4,087.
So is there a drain up there now?
Yes, sir.
When it covered up or something, or?
It was one of the drains, I believe, that was covered up, and the drain itself is fine. It's actually the piping and the elbow that's underneath it that wasn't in
So
scope.
is that where the water is leaking out of the?
Yes, sir.
Okay, coming out the air conditioning unit? Because when
No,
it
this is a roof
sweats, you know, the floor gets wet in there when it's.
Well, now you're getting a whole new HVAC. You get 2 new
Yeah,
units.
no, I'm speaking of, it comes out of the roof, there's water that drains, that leaks down.
That
to
should
the
be
floor.
taken care of.
That'll be taken care of.
Okay, I just want to make, that's what I was asking. Okay, so that's a drain for $4,080.
87,
$4,080.
$87.
4087.00.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the gym roof repair at Vicksburg High School with an amount of $4,087.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and properly second to repair the gym roof.
All right, and then in Warren Central,
It's been moved and properly second. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
all right, now Warren Central.
So this locker curbs isn't a real thing?
It's,
The school's gonna,
Okay.
Bill's gonna take care of
Okay,
it.
all right.
All right. Item number one, the Agora sheet piling. Last month, after our discussion about the issue with the site, gone back to the geotechnical engineer, you guys were wanting some assurances, and he has now suggested that, you know, we should keep it in place and not remove it.
It is a safety valve measure.
What's the name of the geotechnical firm we use?
This is Ladner. We actually had two. Your original was Terracon. I don't know if you recall, we came back to the board, wanted a second opinion. You gave us authorization to use Ladner. They did 3 additional borings, made the recommendations, and that's how we got to where we are. And that cost is $22,206.50.
So are we putting any other, do we have any other way of knowing that we really have gotten out the water? Worried about another pipe somewhere under building A that's broken, that is still leaking? Can we put these sensors in there so we can know?
Well, we have talked about putting in, and we did get priced one time before, some dewatering wells that we could turn into piezometers. Both geotechnical engineers felt like in the long run that was just gonna be a maintenance headache and not worth the investment. But we can revisit.
So what I'm worried about is, we're gonna do this remediation, it's gonna be dry enough to finish it, but we'll still have a legacy leak from A building or B building, and it's gonna affect the structure. They're all gonna say it wasn't caused, you know, the contractor's gonna say it wasn't caused by.
We think we would have seen it if it's there, it would have already shown up. We've been digging there for months.
As much, I feel like as many video cameras we've run down through lines, pipes that they've dug up, I'm fairly confident we got most of it. It always seemed like it was concentrated around the cafeteria area and in that gym area. And the original borings done long ago by Terracon, the 2 borings that had the highest moisture content were the 2 borings in that proximity. They weren't right there at it, but they were close. No groundwater, just high moisture content.
So where are we now with, what have they done so far with the
They have
pipe?
installed the sheet pile and it's in place. They attempted, or were going to attempt to start their undercutting and backfill, and the rain got them, and now it's finally drying back out, and I think they should be back out there.
So the fear is as they pull those sheet piles out, as they vibrate when it's coming out, that strata, all that soil will essentially
Turn to
liquefy
jello.
and turn back into muck as they pull that out.
The less you touch it, the better off you are.
Right.
So we're not, the other question I have, when we first came up with our solution for this, we had a helical pile solution.
Yes.
What was that total price? Do y'all remember?
We never got it priced. We talked to, there were 3 recommendations: helical piles, geopiers, and undercut and backfill. The helical piles was believed to be the most expensive and probably the most conservative, and their fear was, well, I shouldn't say fear, the structural engineer told us if we go that route, we will have to redesign all our footings, it'll be more concrete, more rebar. The beauty of the geopiers supposedly was you get to use your existing footings and rebar that is already there, no additional cost there, it's just the cost of the geopier. And if you recall, I believe that was our original recommendation. The prices came in. The problem was, believe it or not, the geopier subcontractor would not do the work unless we could guarantee him a stable work surface. Well, if I have stability,
I don't need your pipe.
I don't need your piers. So that's when we went to the undercut and backfill option.
So Mark, will they have to trim these things off the top for footings to fit and all that, or are they in avoidance areas, or what?
Believe it or not, in your gym area, there are no footings there. It's slab to slab, it's fine.
Gotcha.
And then there are grade beams along the cafeteria, old cafeteria hallway area. So probably be just below grade.
Gotcha. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve, do we wanna do these one at a time, or wanna do, okay.
Yes, sir.
Approve the Agora sheet pile to remain in place at a cost of $22,206.50.
Second.
Moving proper second, keep the piles in place. Are there any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
Okay, on item 2, it actually involves a number of finishes issues in B building. And at a high level, what I would tell you is the ultimate recommendation is if you approve all these items, the net will be an add cost to the job of $1,266.10. And how did we get there? Well, first off, in the band hall, originally it called for replacing all the ceiling tile in there. The ceiling tile and grid are actually in pretty good shape. We're recommending we take a credit for all that work. That credit's about $46,865. In the 500 and 600 building classrooms, there was no work in the ceilings. So what we're recommending is we paint them out similar to what we did at Vicksburg High School, paint everything that's exposed. That cost was $77,466.80. Then there were some restrooms that only had wall tile going in and not a full renovation of those restrooms, and I'll get back to the restrooms in just a second. But we sought a credit there for the labor to install that tile of $16,060. We do have all the tile in hand for those restrooms. It'll be turned over to the school, and as a point of discussion, one of the things I mentioned to Mr. Shealy and Mr. Campbell, what we'd like to do is package those restrooms along with the 400 corridor restrooms that weren't done that we talked about many months ago, put them together in a package, put them out for bid, and get some other pricing to renovate them.
And we use those materials?
Yes. That credit, as I mentioned, was $16,060. And then in your B building, you had some, you have glazed ceramic wall tile for, I don't know, about 5 feet tall. Rather than paint that, we're saying leave it as is and take the credit there of $13,275. So all that again, if you were to approve everything, results in an add cost of $1,266.10.
So
Mark,
the
are you gonna
areas we're
find-
not replacing, what's it gonna look like? Is it good, the stuff that's in good enough shape to leave, or?
The ceramic, the CMU, yeah, I think it's in most part good compared to the rest of it. Now, the ceiling, the CMU above that, it'll be painted. It's just the glazed tile that won't.
Glazed tile is such a high value, it's just almost stupid to paint.
Question.
No,
Mr. Green?
I'm good.
Mr. Green? Okay. All right,
Then we go. I'll make a motion that we approve item O2, the building B interior finishing changes at our cost of $1,266.10.
I second the motion.
Moving properly second. Are
Aye.
there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
Okay, item 3 involves some additional demolition that was not in scope. Up in B building, there were a number of rooms that had some walls that apparently, I'm not sure when they were constructed, but they looked like they were somewhat temporary in nature, but weren't on the original drawings or in the demo drawings. The contractor did do the demo for us at no cost, but I do have costs associated with the electrical and plumbing that were in those walls to take them back, to either cap them off or take it back to a safe place. That cost is $5,465.75.
What's the pleasure?
I make a motion that we accept item 3 for $5,000 for $5,465.75.
second.
Moving properly second to accept the $5,465.75 for the demolition and the capping off the electricity. Are there any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
All right, these next 5 items, I'd like to preface with, I got the cost information and the notice that these changes were coming some Wednesday morning and some Wednesday afternoon. At this point, none of my engineers have reviewed the cost proposed and given me the thumbs up that they're acceptable or not. I bring them before the board tonight because time is critical on these matters. And if the board chooses to approve them, I think what I would ask is that you approve it contingent upon our recommendation and review that the
Approval
prices
of
are
their price,
accepted
yeah.
with a cost not to exceed what's indicated before you tonight.
Okay, Mark, on item 6, you got in parentheses not required. So what's the recommendation on this?
When I say not required, what they found is, actually, the electrical engineer was doing his weekly inspection and walked through and found a number of either safety or code violations that don't preclude us from doing any of the work that's in scope, but they are issues that should be addressed by some means or method, whether it's something that maintenance does in the future or does now, or we can have the contractor do it. It's not gonna preclude renovation work from being done, it's just
Just a
stuff.
wise thing to do,
Yeah.
thank you there.
You have safety things and,
And
It's
these
things
are
like-
existing conditions?
yes,
Yeah.
Oh, these are existing, okay, thank you.
maybe a frayed wire, maybe boxes without covers,
Okay.
not proper wire nuts, whatever, you know, the case may
Do we
be.
need to do them all individually, Jim?
No, we can do them all at one time, but before you do that, may I ask a couple questions, please? Okay, and of course, I didn't attend one center, so you're gonna have to tell me which one is building A and building B. I must admit, I don't
The
know.
big one's A.
Big one's
The
A.
auditorium.
Okay, so
Auxiliary gyms be.
on the outlets for room 1040, $8,000, we putting outlets all around?
It's
in the
a
wall?
number of receptacles and power, and it
Ceiling
was
or
completely
$8,000?
omitted in the original scope. It was just something that was missed in the original
It's
documents.
a lot of outlets.
Yeah, no,
And it's a lot of wire pulling home runs from different areas. And you're
How
right,
big is the room? About as large as this room?
1040, do you remember? I can get it to
Bigger
you.
than a regular classroom.
Yeah, it's just an area completely omitted. And that's why I say I would ask that you contingent upon our review and approval that everything's acceptable and above board.
Okay.
Unless you want me to say blah, 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 Kimball, you better do
All
it.
right, I got it.
Okay, the demo on the reconstruction wall in building B, office in the second floor.
That's actually, it was, again, one of these temporary walls, except for the fact that it is needed. It's gonna serve as a barrier between some new offices and I guess what'll be a new classroom.
Or wasn't built to code or something, or?
It's just plywood,
Oh,
shoot, and we're suggesting tear it down and redo the electrical in it and the plumbing that runs through it. Or we could leave it as is and just surface mount stuff that's there.
It's pretty good.
I'll make a motion then on, action item B4 through B8, that we accept these changes contingent upon engineering and architectural review of each item individually and recommendation to the superintendent for approval.
Did we already do 3?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Should we put a dollar,
Not to exceed, I'm sorry,
not to
I'll
exceed this
amend
dollar
my
amount?
motion by saying not to exceed the numbers that have been provided to us at this date.
Second.
Moving and properly. Second, are there any more questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
All right. One other item, and this didn't make it on your list. Over at athletics, we were asked, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, about providing a secondary means of access to the Vicksburg High press box.
Oh, yeah.
The delay has been, quite frankly, as we came up with a design, I think it's been kind of looked at and reviewed, everybody seemed to like it, sent out to the contractor for pricing, and we have it from the bleacher company. The delay has been the bleacher company will not give us a design for the footings or for the structure, and so the contractor can't price what concrete it's gonna take to produce the footings. So, what I would ask the board to do, we have a contingency allowance remaining in that job of, I think, $55,600. We're estimating the cost of the work to be $40,000 to $45,000. I'd ask that the board authorize the superintendent up to the remaining contingency allowance balance to spend on that work, if, whenever we get that price.
Mark,
Who wanted the second entrance?
I know,
That's
right?
the
Well,
first
here's the
thing.
deal.
You don't
Huh?
have the first entrance.
Here's the problem with that, and then I'll ask Mark this question. What happens is, the way it is designed, which should not, the designer screwed up, in my opinion, because you're coming all the way outside, go through a fence, go back to the street, and come up in a door. whereas you should have been able to come like Warren Central where you can walk up,
The Vicksburg other side.
right, walk up and there are 2 doors at the end. You can't do that at Vicksburg High. So it's behind on the street. You actually got to go on Drummond Street to get in,
You have to leave the stadium.
which whoever designed it
Oh,
needs
you
to
have
pay
to leave
for
the
it.
stadium.
But that's another day for another story. I guess this was their first rodeo to design something like that. So with that, just.
The good thing is darts aren't sharp like that.
Yeah.
And we're trying to solve 2 problems once we got to talking about this. We need probably a better way for all of our band students to enter the stadium than the current design, and this would give them access directly into the back of the stadium on the side where they're going to perform. So it wouldn't just be used for the few people who go to the press box, but it will help with multiple things.
So that's all I have, man.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we grant permission to
Mr. Sheatley,
Mr. Shealy or Deputy David to, approve up to $50,000. Is that okay?
Second.
For the modification to the press box access.
It's been moved and properly second. Up to the $50,000 to redesign our, coach's box, I will call it, at Vicksburg High. Are there any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
I have a question real quick, Mr. President, if I may.
Yes, sir.
On
Go
Warren
ahead.
Central, have we made any progress on some of the punch items in the stadium concrete?
there's a few punch list items they still have to do. There's some seating that was numbered incorrectly, some concrete that has to be rubbed, and I think some gates that still have to be
The
done.
concrete out by the drain that looked like someone stuck a 2x4 down in, is that gonna be replaced?
I'm not exactly sure which area you're talking about.
I'm in the, ticket area,
Mhm.
and look to your right, going toward the restrooms, there's a graded drain there. It's one of the 4x4 like blocks.
Storm.
Well, it's by the street,
I got you.
but it's right next to it. It looks like they were screening it, and
And
they must have pushed a 2x4 down in it.
We'll get that.
I'll get it taken care
It looks horrible.
of. I think they've got a few things they're still
What
gonna do.
about, are there any other issues? At one time, we were having issues with the tracks. Both schools, holding water on the end facing the,
All right, so the latest on that is, talked to contractor and to Bynum, the track people, about the condition. One of the recommended repairs was to core about a 4-inch diameter hole, sleeve it with PVC, run it into what's underneath all that track surface is a subdrain. Had that recommendation, presented it to Bynum. Bynum suggested we don't do that. That with the limited amount of water, it would be better to leave it as is rather than to do that. And to be quite honest, I didn't understand their logic because they told me their fear is water's gonna be underneath the asphalt and I'm like, but you've got that all the way around everywhere. That's why we put the French drain
In the
system
area we
under.
were doing it, there's some drainage where the field is, so we think that water would get to the sub drainage.
so what?
It's a question, it's not worked out yet.
So what was the original cost? Who was wrong? Someone did something wrong.
It's designed to be perfectly flat, which would get water to not pond. So we think that there's some mutual responsibility. It's not a district
The-
cost, in my opinion.
So they either need to tear it all out or fix it.
Well, quite frankly, they're within what they say they have to be. Bynum approved it. They gave us, Bynum provided the as-built grades and the drains, and they're saying we're okay
But it still holds water.
for a short period of time.
I'm not acceptable with it at this point.
I'm just worried that it's gonna make, to
But-
me, you leave water with asphalt, parking lot, anything, you leave that water sitting.
Sure.
Even if it's a finite amount, it's gonna affect the lifetime of that material.
They may not warrant it. I think it's an unacceptable condition, so we're still looking into
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Any other
Anything
questions?
No other? Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
See you soon at the school board.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
All right. This time, Ms. Lewis.
Time. Yeah.
Okay, good evening. The statement of cash flow, May is showing an estimated fund balance. If you look at your packet, sorry. May is showing a fund balance of 28.7 million, which is consistent with the district maintenance fund balance on the statement of fund equity. I'll give you a second.
Are you waiting?
Want me to go? Yeah, I'm just giving you a second to kind
Oh,
of
okay.
pack it together.
Yes, ma'am, we fine.
Okay.
We fine. I'm
All
sorry.
right, for the ad valorem tax collections, year-to-date, we have collected 30.8 million in ad valorem, which is an increase of approximately 143,591.64 from this time last year. Again, we still continue to end the fiscal year on track and to exceed the total tax collected from fiscal 20. MAEP collections continue to be consistent throughout fiscal 21. We received our appropriation for the district of the 2.43 million for May, which brings our year-to-date total to $26,445,817. And this continues to trend with no shortfalls, with only 1 month remaining as well. For our casino revenue, year-to-date collections is $578,104.75 as of May. Despite the impact of the pandemic, we have been able to sustain our growth in most of our revenue sources, and for fiscal 22, it looks promising, and as we get back to our new normal. Thank you. That's it.
That's all you have, ma'am?
That's it.
Thank you.
Let me
Is there a
know.
motion to accept the,
Questions?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the finance officer.
Second.
been moved and properly second that we accept the financial report. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. Thank you. We're down to H with the proposed consent agenda. Are there any items needed to be pulled?
I need to pull H5, 6, 11, 22, 28, and 29.
And I need to add on to that 7, 8, 9, I'll start over. 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 20, 32.
10, 12,
32.
32.
I got 22.
Yeah, 20. Okay, so the items should be, needed to be pulled. Are there any others?
No.
Needs to be pulled. 5, 6, 7, 11, 8, 9, 10, 12, 20, 22, 28, 29, 32.
Yes.
Are we good? Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20, 22, 28, 29, and 32.
Second.
So moved and properly second. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
And I can't group mine together. You said you've got questions on
I
it.
do, ma'am.
Okay. So for H5, my change needs to be that the funding source needs to be titled funds, school improvement funds, and/or ESSER funds. And that needs to be changed on the document.
Okay, and with that, if I may, are you through, ma'am?
I'm through.
Okay. I was reading and let me tell you, I'm sorry to get a chance to talk to some folks, but I was out cutting grass this morning and read over my docket, so I couldn't get a chance to call some folks. But I was looking at a second quote, and actually 5 and 6 are are combined, but so if you hear me, I'm talking about 5 and 6. There was a second quote on H5 which mirrored H6, but on the H5 they chose, and I was curious as to why did they give us a second proposal when it was supposed to go to H6. I'm going to assume. You see what I'm talking about? The proposal, the first proposal, and then there's a second proposal.
It's different companies, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm just wondering if it's doing the same thing for the consultant service. It appears they're mirroring each other, and they're just doing two different things. One is one's, I guess, for the faculty, and then the other one on H6, it is basically saying the same thing that H5 is saying.
Mr. Floor?
Yes.
Good evening. How you do, sir?
Doing great. When it comes to H5,
Yes.
that is a proposal, as you mentioned, that is for the staff. That's to start out at the very beginning of the year through NISL, with a focus on how people learn and getting our staff prepared for what we're going to face with students as they come back, as was mentioned with our new normal. So it's getting them prepared for that. The second one, Kids First, they will be working with staff, but they will be working with students also. NISL is going to be coming in H5, preparing the staff, and then doing temperature checks along the year. Kids First will be coming in at 6, that's H6, to provide temperature checks also for the staff, but they will be working as interventionists also with students.
Okay, so the intervention is 6, basically, is the only difference in
Yes.
what it is? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm good with that.
So we can group 5 and 6 together?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so my changes to 6 needs to be the same thing as well. The funding source needs to say title funds, school improvement funds, and/or ESSER funds. I make a motion that we, with the exceptions of the funding source, accept line item 5 and 6.
Second.
So move to proper second, that we accept H5 and H6. Are there any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. On H7 and 8, and the same question for that is, these are disposable, to dispose of the textbooks. Will the law allow us to do what they're asking to be done?
Yes.
Yes. I like it.
They're following
I'm
that.
fine with it. If he
I'll make
says
a
that-
motion to accept 7 and 8. All right, and
Oh,
9 and
it's
10.
been moved and properly second. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
9.
9. Thank you. On the math and reading elementary for junior high students, is this the interventionist or, oh, this is Ms. Scott. For the elementary and junior high students, that's similar to what we just approved?
On 9, that's permission to bid.
Ma'am?
You're talking about H9?
Yes, ma'am.
That's permission to bid. We currently use Curriculum Associates, and the total cost of that project is roughly somewhere over $500,000. And anything that's over $250,000, we have to put out for a reverse auction.
So that's just a bid.
Yeah.
So this is just
It's
a
not
bid?
That's just
contract.
permission to bid.
Permission to bid.
Okay, so will you be doing the same thing that it's already being done on some PD days that we just spoke of?
No,
What would
this is instructional software and material supplies. This is what this will end up being. So what they do there, various assessments on, and they have their individualized paths, and then they have workbooks and other materials that go along with the program. This is what this is for, and we have to bid that out.
Okay, I'm fine.
I make a motion that we approve H9.
A second.
Been moved and properly second. Are there any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. H10 is this an in-house PD day?
This is similar to the ones that we approved at other schools last month.
Yes, sir. Is it in-house or is it?
It is in-house.
It's in-house?
Yes.
And it definitely will be for 20 days? I see it's not to.
No more.
The total dollar amount is not to exceed the 20 days?
Correct.
So the total amount for this is, if my addition is correct, would be $82,800. 23 teachers, $180 per day, times 20 days, will come up with $82,800.
Yep, that's what I come up with.
Would you ask them to put that figure on there for us, please? What the total amount would be next time, please? That's all I have.
I'll make a motion to accept line item 10.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
For H11, again, it's the funding source needs to be changed to say title funds, school improvement funds, and/or ESSER funds. Anybody have any other questions? I make a motion to accept 11 with the funding sources changed.
There's a second. It's been moved and properly second. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. Now, as Brian is probably more in depth than I am with his IT stuff, I do know about
Right.
10 cents worth of this on H12.
12.
H12. On a question with this right here, I was reading in here, and have we, refied our bonds yet?
This is you.
Greg, this is you.
Yeah. Have we refied our bonds yet?
No, how are y'all tonight?
How you doing?
I'm great. I'm Greg McMurray with Cruz and Associates. We were the underwriters on y'all's 2018 bond issue. We've just been constantly analyzing the market, and we have two possible refunding issues. One is 2018, and the other one is 2018A. In order for the district to do these refinancing, you have to have at least 2% savings as far as state law. On the 2018 issue, we're looking at anywhere from a range of 2.75 to over 3% savings, which would come to approximately $575,000 to $650,000 in savings. On the 2018A savings, we're looking at over 7.5 to over 8% savings, which would result in a savings of somewhere in the neighborhood of $875,000 to $950,000, which would be about $1.5 million in overall savings, which would save the district and debt service of about $100,000. And what we're asking is for the board to approve us to move forward to notify Butler Snow and board council to move forward and to start the proceedings on moving forward these refundings.
Refinance.
With are the interest rates on these gonna be basically the same? We're gonna change the interest rate on it, or the terms, or how long it's gonna be?
No, the interest rate's gonna change considerably.
Right.
Where you're gonna save at least, hopefully, about $1 million to $1.5 million.
Okay, so, will inflation play a part in some of the way, if we wait too long, will it play a significant part in it? Because, you know, the Fed has been talking about inflation and how it may go up, so will that be a affected in any way?
I wish I had a crystal ball, but I don't. But I'm gonna tell you what, if you watch the news, you know that inflation is going up, and they're looking at raising interest rates. So I think the prudent thing would be to move as swiftly as we could to capture these savings.
And these general obs and revenue bonds, or is it,
These general obligation bonds.
which, are they just a different source for everybody to understand? But that and revenue bonds, pretty, it's just a different way for cash flow to pay your debt and what you're doing. So, only thing we're doing here, if I'm understanding you with the engagement letter, when you use the word ratification, it's a contract that we just need to redo with you so you can get Snow to do whatever they're supposed to do. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you know how, last thing, do you know how, if you get to approve it here tonight, how quick you all will be able to do this turnaround?
It's probably going to take, depending on the rating service and also with the 2019 audit that we're going to have to complete, that's being worked on as we speak. We'll have to monitor that. Could be 60 to 90 days, but we will be working on it.
Mr. President, may I ask a question or two?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Attorney.
Thank you. Greg, this is Greg Hobson, and one of the things I noticed on the heading was that this is a 2021 taxable special obligation bond, and I think I heard you say GO a minute ago. Is this a GO or SO bond?
These are special obligations. I was just talking in general. I apologize. But we will get down to the specifics when we get Butler Snow involved and you involved and get that information out to you.
Okay, and the last question I have is, do you remember how many bonds that we have that were not lumped into the overall bond? I thought we did one or two with the major bond issue the district approved a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Is this one of, did I hear you say there are two? Is this one of the two, or are there two bonds included in this potential refinancing? I think I heard you say two, but are there any others out there? I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Yes, they are. We're talking about refunding on 2018. We're talking about approximately $11,310,000, and then on the 2018A, we're looking at $21,825,000.
Okay, all right. Well, if the board approves it, I'll certainly be talking with you here in the near future in Butler Snow. But the agreement that you got before the board tonight is just for you to go forward with the process of examining what options are available. No commitment by the board to commit to the bond obligations at this time, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve H12, right?
I second the motion.
The moved and properly second. Are there any other questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. We're down to H20.
20.
H20. This was, if you look at this is the horse that's out of the barn. We're approving something that started June the 2nd. Today is June what? 17th? Okay. Please make a note. If you need something approved, get it into the board meeting prior to your start date.
She said it's a mistake.
Oh, it's a mistake.
I didn't submit it, but I know that it has not started.
Okay.
That is, because it's paid for through my office, that's Baton Road, and it has not started.
Well, working on it. Thank you very much for that information. I'll just go by what I read and, but if that be the case, then I just wanted to tell everybody, check behind yourself, make sure you get the proper dates, put on your board minutes, because, we do every now and then look at it and see a starting date that's not correct.
I see what they did, they put the entire summer on there instead of the specific dates.
Yes, sir. Okay, that's all I have.
I make a motion, we approve H20.
Second.
Been moved and properly second, are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. H22,
Again, this is the funding source needs to be changed to title funds, school improvement funds, and/or ESSER funds.
I make
I'll
a
make a
motion,
motion that we approve line item H22 with the changes to the funding source.
second.
been moved and properly second, are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
All right, and then I am H28, and again, it was the funding source. It needs to say title funds, school improvement funds, and/or ESSER funds.
I make a
Any
motion,
other
we
questions
approve,
on it?
make a motion, we approve H28 pending the requested changes.
Second.
Been moved and properly second, are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved.
H29, the same thing. Funding source needs to be changed. Title funds, school improvement funds, and/or ESSER funds.
I make a motion, we approve H29 pending the requested changes.
Second.
Been moved and properly second, are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. And H32. Only thing I have on H32 is a word that scares me.
All right.
It says total estimated cost instead of what is the cost. Estimated. So do we know what the cost is? Did we do it last year? Did we know whether the cost went up or went down?
Christie, is that you?
Yeah, well, I've been pulled into this, product because we expanded it and added that notify, added the notify, option. I was not involved with the contract before, but can you point to me, Mr. Surgeon, where it says estimated?
It's on the second page.
You may not have that sheet.
Oh, you may not have it.
It's,
Oh, on that was my typing, and that is the cost.
That is the cost.
You can turn to page where it says renewing your subscription, and it gives the itemized and the cost here.
Okay, so
At the end,
so
so yeah.
that cost is $95,000.
$95,575 even.
So if you will eradicate
The word
estimated, and you put
Yeah.
the cost is, I'm good with the word.
I make
Make
a
a
motion that we accept H32 pending those changes.
Yeah, make sure you put in that final cost in the motion, please,
Okay.
that maximum
I
cost.
amend my motion to say that I approve H32 at a total cost of $95,575.
Been a motion,
Second the motion.
been moved and properly second, are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. Okay, we're down to I1, is that part of,
No,
that's
I's
proposed?
consent.
No, that's good. So that's-
Out-of-state travel is done. We're on K.
We're on K. Stop.
Good evening. This is the month that the principals are scheduled to present to the board. But I recommend, since the data from the May's monthly update has not changed, and you guys have already seen that I'm asking that we allow the principals not to present today, but if you have any questions, they are on call, if you have any questions.
Sure Sally doesn't have any.
I got no questions. Do we need to take action?
For information on it. No, we don't have to
No
take any
action.
action.
Okay.
For information on it. MSB, oh, this is to sit for a month if I read that right. Is this the one?
Yes, sir.
Review on it?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's for information for you to read next board meeting. And K3? Doc, that's you too. You just let me get up.
Just stayed up there. All right, so K3, that's the lease for permission to use Mr. Joe Johnston's building where we were housing our alternative program for our secondary students. It was through Ombudsman, and Ombudsman was taking care of the lease, the monthly cost for the lease. So now that we're taking our secondary alternative program back in-house, we do need a place for them to, students to be if needed. So that's what this lease is about, is approval to lease the building to house our alternative program.
And we're leasing a building because we don't have space in existing buildings to be able to use?
Right now, yes.
Even
yes.
with Grove Street being vacant in 2 weeks, since Gary said that. I mean, even with that, we don't have space to be able to use our
Well, like I
properties.
said, it was up in the air then. Yes, ma'am. And like I said, until he said that, now we had to move forward in making a plan to house those students.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept K3.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. And who at this time will talk about L1, 16th section?
That's gonna be me.
Okay, come on with it.
It's gonna be Briggs and I. We're gonna see.
I'm here.
We do have one bid to open tonight. I have a sealed bid from James Wyatt Adams. It's a bid for hunting and fishing for Swampy Donk.
Swamp donkey.
Swamp Donkey. Swamp Donkey, yes. It's the one that we talked about last time. I'm going to open the bid.
How come you don't get a fancy letter opener like
I know.
Riggs does?
I'm not prepared like our attorney.
I have to rely on our 16th section manager.
The bid proposal, the amount of $8,250 with an official check of what appears to be the 10%, $825.
And who made the bid, Mr. Campbell?
It is James Wyatt Adams.
Based on that assertion, the bid appears to be in order, Mr. President.
Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion we approve that we accept the bid from Mr. Adams in the amount of $8,250 for the 16th section located in Township 13 North, Range 2 East.
Okay. There's a motion, is there a second?
I second the motion.
It's moved and properly second. Are there any questions? Are you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is approved. I like the second one, the check's in the mail. I've heard that plenty of times. Have we received payment? It's still in the mail. Oh, okay.
So we will update y'all next month, I guess.
Okay.
That's all we have on 16th section.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there a motion to go?
I make a motion, we go into closed session to set,
To discuss the. agenda for
excuse me, the
executive
agenda for,
Executive
executive session.
Section.
There's a second.
Second.
No section is, no second is needed. All right, we're going into a executive session. Thank you.